What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Voltus 5 from Yolopark. So this is a new one for the channel, but I saw this one and I liked it. So we're going to take a look at this today. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So let's see what we have inside, shall we? So of course, looks like we got some promotional stuff here. We've got the manual. That's pretty self-explanatory there. I don't really see anything crazy. All right, and then let's see, we've got the parts for the Voltus 5. So we've got the head part there. Now this one, to my knowledge, is not transformable, but which is kind of the reason why I got it, but I'll kind of explain that later. So we've got that, looks like we've got the bottom parts here. It's a little bit on the heavy side. Parts look molded very, very well. So you've got that, and then it looks like you've got some stuff for the weapons there, the sword and the whips and all of that. So pretty simple release. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this guy together and then see what we got. So here we have the Voltus 5. I will say that this looks remarkable. He's very, very heavy. He's not super heavy, but he's heavy enough. He definitely has a lot of die cast parts in him. I think he looks spectacular. I have always liked this particular design, the Voltus 5 Legacy version. It just looks more, I guess, modern compared to the anime that was in the, late 70s, early 80s. So I think that this looks amazing. I love it as far as how it looks. And you're probably wondering, well, why didn't you get the Solar Chigokin one? That one's bigger. You usually like bigger figures. Well, there's a reason for that, trust me. But I would say overall, he looks very, very good. So I don't think there's gonna be much here to complain about. And he's a decent size as well. So, all right, well, I like that. So what we'll do now is we'll take a look at some of his weapons. So let's take a look at the Voltus 5's accessories. He has a couple of different weapons here, but not a ton. So first up, we have the Electromagnetic Whips. So you do have two of these. These have a little bit of give. It's a little stiff, but it will move for you. So you do have that. You also get two of these electromagnetic top things here. Let's see if I can get it to focus. And you can put these on the tops here. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we'll take that off, connect this on like this, and boom. So there you have the Electromagnetic Whip with the top on. So you do get two of those as well. So you get those. And then next you get the chain knuckle. So you have this. This will actually connect to his hand. You just have to take the hand off and plug it in. So you do have this, a nice little spike part. This will spin here at the top and it will spin at the bottom. So pretty interesting thing there. It's got a nice little chain there, if I can get it to focus. So not too bad there. And here we have the Voltus 5's laser sword. So I will say that this looks pretty good if I can get it to focus there. So I would say that the detail is really good. I like that a lot. But the problem is that it's plastic. So it's not metal at all. I would have preferred the tip to be metal here, but it is flexible, so you can bend it some, but I would have preferred this to be metal, honestly. And then you have the Voltus bazookas. This is the gun that comes out of his hand. So this is interesting. This also has a ring here, and this is where your magnet is to turn on your lights. So you're gonna need that later in the lighting section when we'll go through that, but this does spin. I would say that this is plastic for the most part, so it's not very heavy. I would have preferred this to be die cast or metal or just a little bit heavier, but I think overall it's okay. And then these are parts for the tops of the hands, and this is for his knuckle missiles. So really you would just take the part off the top of it and put these on, so you can do that. So nice detail as far as the hands go. So let's take a look at the Voltes 5's articulation. First up, for the head, he can look up, way up. He can look down decently. He's got some side to side, so very good there. That's all coming from the ball joint in the neck. Let's see if he can spin 360. I don't think he'll have a problem with that. Looks really good there. Looks really good there. I really like that. So that's what you've got for the head. For the shoulder part, he can raise at about shoulder's length. He does have some in and out, so that looks pretty good. Can he spin at 360? Looks like he can. For the bicep, looks like he can spin that 360 as well. Looks very, very good. Let's take a look at the elbow. Elbow looks real good, so he's got a dual hinge here and here. Also for the shoulder, you can move this whole portion up, so you do have that. So that looks really, really good there. Okay. For the forearm, it won't really spin on the forearm, so let's go ahead and move to the wrist. For the wrist, you do have in and out. You've got up and down, so that looks really, really good. And then for the fingers, he has semi-articulated fingers. He's got the 3-1 trigger finger split. And it's interesting how they did this, because you have a joint here and here, so you can bend these in like a fist. But I don't know, it's something about it just seems a little off to me, but I think overall I do like it. And I just kind of would have wished that these would have been separated instead of the 3-1 trigger finger split. I think you could have had these as well, but also have a fully articulated hands, and then you do have a movable thumb, even though the thumb one doesn't really bend at the joints at all. For the midsection, looks like he does have some down, so really good there. Does he have any up? Not really. He's just going back to his upright setting. He's got any side to side. It looks like he's got some side to side. It's coming from the top part up here, not really the actual midsection. Let's see if he can spin 360. Looks like he can. Of course, you might want to be cognizant of that, because it looks like it wants to unscrew there at the ball joint there. So we can go ahead and push that back down. But that's what you have for the midsection. For the waist, he does have 2 front skirts there. They do move independently of each other, so we like that. It does have some out and in, so not too bad there. Let's take a look at the side skirt. That does go up and down. Doesn't really have any other movement other than that. And then for the back skirt, this is one solid piece. I noticed that when I was constructing it, so that's not really gonna have any movement there on the back skirt. For the thigh, he doesn't really have anything hindering it, but let's see if he can spin that 360. It looks like he can, nothing in the way. Just be careful that the ball joint in there doesn't unscrew when you do that. Let's go ahead and raise this up. So I would say that's about maybe what, 110, 115, something like that. Let's go ahead and bend the knee. All right, let's take a look. So he doesn't go in as much as I would like. You'd probably have to have this whole part collapse, but since this is 2 pieces connected together like that, that's not really going to give you any space. But you do have a V, but it's just a wide V. And then also for the hips, I've noticed he almost has like a drop down here, right here. So this hinge will come all the way out. So I think that that's quite interesting. So that gives you a little bit more flexibility. He can kind of put that leg all the way out like that. So very, very interesting there. Let's see if he can do the splits. I doubt he'll have any trouble doing that. So he can do that. So that's how he looks like for the splits, not too shabby. And then for the flit, he does have a little bit of toe articulation there and there. It doesn't go down, but it does go up some. He does have some ankle rock in there, so he will go side to side a little bit. I wish he'd go down a little bit further, but unfortunately it doesn't look like you're gonna be able to get that, but that's what you got for the feet. So that's what we have for articulation. I would say overall that his articulation is quite good. That was actually the reason why I wanted this particular one, because if you have him transform, that's when his articulation can get really limited, especially in the midsection. But I think overall, this one did very, very well. It was missing some articulation in some key areas, mainly the ankle joints and possibly some of the arm joints as well. I would have liked the ab one to be a little bit better as well, but it was still quite good, especially considering the type of transformation that he has, even though this one doesn't transform, but just the general design. So overall, I think very, very good. So next we're gonna go over the Voltes 5's lighting gimmick. It's pretty simple. Now this one takes 2 LR621 batteries in his head. So that's the only place that will light up, so it'll light up his eyes. Now with this one, and I see this a lot out of China more than any other manufacturers, is that these are magnetic. So what you need is you need the gun here. And then what you can do is you just tap on that crest on his forehead and the lights will come on. He's got 3 settings. So that's the normal setting. He's got the flashing setting there. So you can see the lights kind of flashing. And then this one is kind of like a pulsating style. So it'll go from bright to dim like that. So also you don't have to worry about if you do happen to leave these lights on, they will shut off after probably about 3 to 5 minutes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the lights off so we can see what it looks like in the dark. So here we just have the backlights on for the most part. So as you can see, this is relatively bright. So I do like how this lighting gimmick works. And I think it looks very, very solid. It's just too bad he couldn't really get any lights anyplace else, but I do like this gimmick. So I think overall, I think that the lighting is done very, very well, and it's pretty simple. So next up, we're gonna do some size comparisons real quick. So I wanted to bring out a couple of other figures that are similar to his size. Now, he measures at 7.874 inches. So he's roughly about the size of a normal metal build. But first up, why don't we go ahead and bring out the Action Toys Voltron. So you can kind of see how he fits with that. And Voltron is definitely taller than him. If I remember correctly, Voltron was actually closer to like 9 inches, between 8.5 and 9. So you have him. And then also, let's bring out one I don't bring out very often. And that would be the Sentinel Dancouga. And as you can see, Dancouga is bigger than him as well. I've actually been meaning to do a review on him as well. I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, so you can see that definitely he's a little bit on the smaller side, but he's not super small. So as you can see, he's not as tall as say the Sentinel Dancouga or the Action Toys Voltron, but he's still a comparable size. So I would say he's actually probably closer to a metal build than anything else. So here, before we close out this review, I wanted to go over some posing real quick. I think that this is probably the most unique weapon that he has, the electromagnetic whips with the tops on them. And the tops do spin, so you can spin those. It would be kind of cool if you had a battery in there that would actually spin them for like, let's say 5 seconds or something like that. I think that would be really, really cool. But I think overall, I think this looks remarkable. Also the fact that even though the whip, it's stiff enough that it'll hold the pose in what you're trying to do, but it's flexible enough that you can kind of do it in circles and things of that nature. So I think that that looks really, really good. And I'm really impressed with how this looks. I think that if I was going to have them displayed, I'd probably have them in a display similar to this. So I think that this one is really, really cool. So here we have the Voltis 5 with the chain knuckle. So it's the good old ball and chain. And I think that this looks pretty cool as well. I do like the fact that this can spin. I think that that is really cool. You just want to be careful, especially if these hoops for the chain go around this thick part, because I had mine go all the way down here and I had to move it back up, and I ended up widening this chain, and so it ended up falling off. But just be cognizant of that when you have this weapon out. I really do wish that this chain was actually made of this type of material for the whip, because it would be strong enough to hold it up, because without it, it really is just gonna fall to the ground. And you see this even with the metal build crossbones, that they have a chain weapon as well. And unfortunately, unless you're gonna prop it up with another stand or something, it just won't be able to hold it. So it'll just flop to the ground kind of like that. So that's unfortunate, but I think overall, I think that this looks really, really good as well. I thought that these were probably the most dynamic of the Voltis 5 weapons. Of course, I have not watched Voltis 5, at least the anime. I did see some of the Voltis 5 Legacy. I saw a couple episodes of that and I thought it was really cool. That's why I really like this design. But I think overall, I think that it looks really, really cool. And so that's really the only other one I wanted to go over. I will go over the Voltis bazooka real quick. And really, it's very, very simple. So really all you would do is take it and you plug this in here, since I kind of already have him out. And then you would take the hand apart, and then that goes here to simulate his hand coming down or whatever. So you would kind of have it like that. So you do have that as well. So I think that that's pretty cool. It's pretty, of its time. I think you could do some cooler weapons for Voltage 5, but I really do like the whips though. I think that the whips are really, really cool. So that's all I wanted to show you as far as some of the posing is concerned. So let's get to final thoughts. So last thoughts on this guy, the Voltis 5. I must admit, I'm very impressed with this. Now, of course, this comes from the live action show. I think it was from Taiwan or something like that. I could be wrong, but it's from the live action show. I thought that they did a really good redesign on this Voltis 5, and so I was always interested in getting a version of this. Now, some people may ask me why I didn't get the Solar Chogokin. Well, the main reason is that the Solar Chogokin one lacked articulation in the midsection. And just like you guys, I watch reviews on all this stuff too. And I was really concerned that because of the way that this guy transforms, that he wasn't gonna have any ab articulation in the Solar Chogokin. And come to find out, I was correct. So what I opted to do was go for this Yolopark one. And the thing is also, I don't really have any attachment to Voltis 5 like I do, say, Go Lion or Gundam or Dancouga or some of the other super robots that you've seen on the show, Gunbuster, things of that nature. And so, for me, I didn't need like the best version of Voltis 5 that's out. I didn't need that. So I just wanted to have him represented in the collection. And I think what Yolopark did here was very, very solid. His articulation is really good. The only major parts that I have with his articulation is really that he just lacks articulation in some areas, but it's very, very minute. I think that the legs are very, very good as far as what they did with the drop down mechanism. So you can actually do a wide range of movement with the legs. He's got just enough die cast. It's interesting because he's kind of a cross between a model kit and a figure. And he definitely has the detail of a model kit, but he has the sturdiness of a figure. And I think he has the articulation of a figure as well. And I think that they did really good work here. I like the lighting gimmick. It's simple. It's not too over the top. So I think that the lighting gimmick is good. I think my only real nitpicks are he doesn't have his effect parts. Like, where's the big V? That's what I really wanted. I wanted the big V and he doesn't have it for this guy. And I was like, oh man. Because to me, I think that that is an interesting and very good display piece when he has the big V. Usually when he cuts his enemies, he'll cut them into a V. And I've always thought that that was very, very cool to see. Other than that, like, he's not really missing much. I mean, his articulation in his hands, they're okay. I would have preferred to have all of his fingers articulated instead of kind of like the 3-1 trigger split. I think this is fine for his weapons, but I would have preferred to have a second set of hands that were all articulated. I would have really have liked that. I would have preferred the sword to be, I don't know, maybe have it either be chromed out and it's just a little flimsy because you can tell it's kind of plastic and it does flex a little bit. So if that was maybe a more solid metal for the sword, but other than that, he really doesn't have anything wrong with him. Yeah, just effect parts, I think, is really what would be putting this guy over the top. I really do believe that. Now, as far as me not wanting him to transform, I prefer figures that don't transform just due to the fact that unless you're gonna buy two, I rarely have them in their transform state or their vehicle state. It's just, even I do that even with my Transformers. They're always in robot mode. So even though I understand that's part of the gimmick and the kind of the things that a lot of these robots do, for me personally, it's one of those things that I can take it or leave it. Now, if you're gonna do it correctly, but I prefer more articulation over a transformation gimmick. So out of 10, I'm not gonna beat around the bush with this guy. I'm going to give him a 9.2. I think he is very, very solid. And I am quite impressed. This is my first dip into Yolopark as a company. And the fact that the diecast in here is solid, and outside of some small nitpicks with articulation and not having any effect parts, that's really the only two major negative things that I have with him. I think his weapons are very uniquely done. There's not much to dislike here. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you could like, comment, subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. Send this one out to all of the Super Robot fans, to all of the Voltis 5 fans, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.